Hello everyone, Abigail Wyatt here, and today we're doing something a little bit different now. First of all, it's not just me, I am joined by the one and only Itzzwan. Hello Itzzwan.
Hello.
Hey. Uh, First of all, thanks for joining me for this video.
You're very welcome. It's nice to be back on what is essentially my second channel by this point.
You're really gonna go there. Anyway, so what this video is going to be about is, well, just have to explain first. As we all know, we have the Miss Clint City pageants that's officially run by the Urban Rivals website every year since I think they started doing it. Was it about 2007?
I don't know. Probably around Venice.
I think I remember them skipping 2009, and then we've had it consistently since 2010. As you all know, we've just had this year's competition, which was won by Miss Jiggy. Well, I think we all could have predicted that given the events that led up to that, but that's not what we're on about today. Today we are on about Mr Clint City, which has been unofficially run by the Urban Rivals fans since about the same year as they consistently did the Miss Clint City, and we're just basically going to be briefly discussing the winners and having a bit of a what if in regards to, if these cards had actual Mr. Forms, like what stats they might have had. And in all honesty, I've brought Itzzwan on here with me because, as you all know, I'm crap when it comes to stats, and he actually knows something.
Well, I
And
like to think I do. I'll try my best.
so, anyway, I think I've rambled on enough at this point, so let's get into the characters. So, as I said, this started in 2010, and I was going to say, I'm not sure how much of the history of the Mr. Clint City you know.
Bits and bobs, but again, it started sort of before I properly really started playing Urban Rifles, so I wasn't there for the start. But I've certainly known about it for the past few years, for sure.
Okay, so I think the 2010 one was open to, I think it was basically open to every male character that had been created beforehand because there hadn't been a Mr. Clint City before. And it was Eric of the Leaders that won the first pageant. Now, I've got his stats up here. We have the whole leader ability here of the T -1 op power minimum 5. Now, I don't know. I mean, since at least for the Miss cards since 2010, they were giving the Miss forms different stats. But at first glance, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe they could keep the stats the same for Mr. Eric. What do you think?
Well, it's a very interesting one because, of course, he's a leader, and typically when it comes to the Miss Clint City cards, like leaders, I think are automatically disqualified. Like you'll never get a Miss Amber or whatever, just because, of course, they're not really cards. It's more just from the clans as a whole. So yeah, it's interesting to think what they'd be able to do with that, especially considering it's a leader variability is team. It affects the entire team. Like, what can they really do with that for it to work? But yeah, I think the main thing which I've sort of noticed throughout the years, and I think is pretty evident to most people who sort of know a tad bit about missed cards, is that there are sort of two forms of missed cards out there. There's one which is the nerf, so essentially it's the
Yeah.
same card, but they're just a bit weaker. Sort of, you'll get the same ability. So a prime example of this would be Pandora and Miss Pandora, where of course Pandora was 8 for protection, power, and damage, and then Miss Pandora was 7 for 7. I believe it was 7 for protection, power, and damage. And then the other side of Miss cards is what I like to call the invert. So either the stats or the ability or both of them are inverted. So whatever their ability is, it'll be the opposite condition. So if it's a courage card, then it might be a revenge. That's what I was looking for. And if it's a confidence, then it might be a defeat and stuff like that. So I think for Eric in particular, and I'll refer back to this like for each and every card, I think Eric would be one where he would be a nerf. So again, ability wise, I don't really know what difference they would do for that. Like, I guess they could change and make it so it's +1 power, but I don't know. It's just a weird one. I don't really know what they could do different with it. Like, whether they change it down to 7/5 or whatever, but then that'd be extremely weak for a 5-star.
Hmm.
It could be maybe 7/5 +1 power, but again, that's not amazing. I think I just have to go with you. Like, I don't really have a clue what they could do to change Eric, so it might be literally going back to the old Mr Clint City days where it's the same cards repeated again. So I think long answer short, and me essentially just saying what you said in the first place. Like, I think Eric in particular would just be a carbon copy because I don't see how you could particularly change him.
No,
Yeah.
I think we're just going to have to leave it there with Eric before we all get confused.
I mean, the other thing I was thinking, and going back to it, is that I guess if they changed the team ability to sort of a day/night ability, and they changed it so that in the day it was -1 power, and then at night it was +1 power or something like that, that could be cool. But otherwise, I don't really know what else they could do for Eric in particular.
No, but should we move on to the next card?
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
Okay, so 2011 was when I first really heard about the unofficial Mr Clint City, and 2011's winner was it was Dragon. And just the idea of him hearing that he'd won this pageant, and I think he'd either be very confused or just very pissed off that all these people and all these past people, instead of fearing him, were just like admiring him, and he doesn't want that kind of attention, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, it does seem a very odd pick in particular, like this year. Well, not this year, back in 2011, for Drain to win, it does seem very bizarre.
Now, the thing is, I could imagine him having a different ability to the one that his -4 rock life, minimum 0, but I couldn't imagine it being an invert. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would have a plus life ability.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, thematically, going back to his card and his story and all that, it doesn't really make sense for him to have that plus life, but in my mind, that's what I would do with him. Like, I would change it so that it's a plus life, and then, well, so probably support plus life or ether growth plus life, but definitely, or even just straight up +4 life. That's probably what I would do with him. But I don't know. It seems like an odd fit for him to have plus life, but that's just what I would do.
would you keep him at the 8/4 or?
Oh no, 8/4 and then what +4 life? That's essentially, well, he's already a virtual 8, but that would still be a bit sort of pushing it for me. I think I'd have to drop him down to 8/3 in particular. Again, sort of sticking to a theme where the Mr cards, or yeah, Mr card's usually weaker. If we're assuming it's the same, then the Mr card would also be weaker. So I think you'd have to drop him down to an 8/3.
Okay.
Definitely not any lower power, but keeping, yeah, just one less damage.
Yeah, going back to that whole he was an odd. I really wasn't expecting him to win. I thought, oh well, I honestly thought it was going to go to someone like, Aniki or something from the Montana,
Hmm.
who actually ended up, he was actually second that year, so he came close, but not close enough, it seems.
You know, it's quite surprising. Like, again, I'm trying to think back to what cards were released that year, and I wouldn't have thought Aniki would have been released. He wouldn't have ranked that high up, but good for him. But of course, Drain, popular vote, and all that stuff. Of course, what would have been probably one of the most popular cards of that year, he had to win.
As you say, you're surprised Niki would rank that high. a lot of people will go for Japanese pretty boys, so you're forgetting that a lot of them, a lot of the pageant is still based on like a card's artwork and stuff. I mean, to be fair,
Yeah.
had things not been said about Miss Jiggy, I reckon she still would have been a strong contender just because of that artwork.
Yeah, she would have ranked highly, but if good old Chaos hadn't sort of pipped in and sort of had his little persuasion, then probably it would have been Seraphina for sure who would have won, I reckon. But it would have been nice if it was Darling, but that wasn't going to happen,
Uh,
sadly. Like, as
uh,
much as I would have wanted it to, it just wouldn't have.
Hey, at least Darling made the final five. My precious goat child Zavelli was nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, because she's a goat. Like, I don't think most people sort of think, oh, that's a goat. That's attractive. Yes, I like the look of that goat.
No, I swear, I thought she would have got high because of the whole. Because she's a powerful card already. Even if
Yeah,
she
but no
got
one
a
likes
nerf,
freaks.
she would have still. I swear to God, if you were in the same room right now, I would just be like lightly tapping you on the shoulder like that's a naughty it.
You just sort of hear a.
And then just you probably like, ow.
I mean, I'd probably start crying realistically, but yeah,
Oh no,
that.
don't do that. Don't do that. What we can do is move on to the next card.
Yeah.
Where's the little list I put up? Oh, you might enjoy this because he
Mm-hmm.
happens to be one of your favourite cards.
Yep.
2012 was the year of Mr. Tiwi,
Mm-hmm.
and I still feel a bit freaked out about that because he is essentially a toddler. Why are we
Yeah,
voting toddlers into pageants?
but it all comes down to his cuteness at the end of the day. Like, of course he's gonna win. He's just that adorable. But again, considering the intent and points of pageants, like it doesn't really work in the same way. Like, sure, he's cute, but it's just a bit weird.
Uh, just a note to people watching this: at the time of the video, I've already like drawn up some of the title cards that are going to be in this, and the one for Tiwi just has Nana. Like, you guys voted for a toddler, creeps.
Hmm. But
I
again, it makes perfect sense for him to win that year. I don't know who else could have really topped him.
I'm just looking at his stats here. I'm not going to include the max 13 in the original stats here because at the time he won, he was just simply a defeat plus 3 life.
To be honest, I didn't even know he had a max now. Like, I thought it was still just plus 3 life. But I guess,
I have no idea when it got introduced, but yeah, he's a max 13 now, so
yeah, just because he was that brutal in the EFC and stuff, like, I guess they kind of had to tweak him. But it's LDs. If they change them all the time, it makes sense. But it's a bit
yeah.
interesting.
So what would you keep? Would you follow the formula of the old Miss Clint Cities with Tiwi, or would you give him a new ability, or what would happen?
For Tiwi, very simple for me. What I'd do is drop him. I don't really want to give him 6-2 just because it seems a bit low for a freestyle. But then when considering that he literally gained plus 3 life, that's essentially 6-5. If he has his bonus, then that's a virtual 8-7. Like, that's pretty damn good. So I'd say definitely 6 power. No, 6. Yeah, 6 power, 2 damage, and then plus 3 life. Like, that seems pretty fair, in my opinion. I don't think he'd really be able to get away with 3 damage, but that's just me.
Yeah, I was looking at the ability thinking, would this be an invert? But once again with Dragon, it's like that that doesn't really seem like it would be in, Tiwi's basically what he's all about. I don't think he'd be a minus life kind of card.
Yeah, no, it'd definitely still be plus life, and it wouldn't be a well, what's the opposite of? It wouldn't be a courage or anything like that. I reckon it would just be like a solid plus 3 life, like no conditions applied.
Yeah. So I was wondering whether, if we lowered the life amount gained, whether we could put a victory or defeat in there, but it didn't really exist back then, so
I mean, that's an interesting idea to throw around, but it's not something I'd really think to apply to him. But I guess that victory or defeat could be pretty damn nasty. So yeah, that could be an interesting idea to throw around. But for whatever reason, in my mind, I just see it as being purely just free life.
yeah, that sounds like it would work. Let's see. The next. Oh, yep. The next year was 2013, and we saw another Frozen winner, and Tiwi would have passed the sash on to Rad. Now, once again, I kind of get why Rad would have won. I mean, as a mixture of maybe stats, and he's kind of got that pretty boy thing going on about him. Um, I'm thinking straight away in terms of Mr. Stats. I don't know, maybe keep him as a 7/6, but instead of stop up bonus, you give him stop up ability instead. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be interesting because, of course, you've got the one which is a 3-star and it's 7-3 SOA. I can't think what his name is for the life of me.
I'm looking at the Frozen right now. Which one is it? Which one is it? Why can I not find him? Oh, you talk about Hacken, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. So it would be nice to see another SOA alongside the other one which I've gotten, which I also cannot remember the name of because I don't really play Frozen that much.
Same.
I think it's one which has the condition to it though, and it's a 2-star if I were to guess. 8-2, and then is it like Courage SOA or something?
8-2, 8-2, 8-2, 8-2, 8-2. Courage SOA. Does Honor, who's a confidence stop ability.
That's I might be getting mixed up with that, but I'm sure there's enough. I'm sure there's enough SOA in Frozen, but it's not something you see particularly too much in the
No,
clan.
there's no other SOAs there.
Is there not?
No.
I'm gonna have a quick browse, but I trust your word, but I'm just a bit surprised here. I must be clearly getting confused with a different card. Yeah, you've got Harken there. Oh, yeah, it's a confidence stop ability, which I was getting confused with. Yeah, stop ability. Yeah, it's that one. It's Honor. That
Yeah.
one was the one I was thinking of. I don't know what the point of me mentioning that card is, but yeah, there's what 2 SOA cards in there. So
And one of them's conditional, so
yeah, it's still an SOA. But I don't know, like, I don't see him sort of changing from an SOB to an SOA. And stats wise, I guess it would be too weak for a 5-star to drop him down to 7-5. So,
yeah.
but at the same time, I wouldn't want to bump him up necessarily. I don't know if sort of bumping him up to 8-5 would be a stupid idea, but that's sort of like the vibes I'm getting. More maybe an 8-5 SOA, because that's not too ridiculous for a 5-star, I reckon. Like, that could pass. And there are plenty of 5-stars in Frozen which are 8-5, like the DR and other ones. But it's something which exists, so it's not too sort of stupid. It's not too wild of an idea, and it's one which it could be a thing. And then again with bonus, that goes up to a 10-7, so it's pretty damn good.
Good. I remember when the Frozen were just coming out, and I did not want to go up against them because a lot of them were just too powerful when they had that bonus active. That bonus scared me. But I mean, I can deal with it now. They're still a pretty strong clan if you've got the right cards together.
Can definitely still play them quite easily in EFC and stuff. Like, still some very fantastic cards out there. But it's not one which I really go for, even though they are one of my favorite clans, more just due to the aesthetic.
That actually leads to a nice segue there because the next winner, I kind of like the aesthetic that they were going for with this guy. We're on 2014 now, yeah? That
I
was
think so.
Hemdall of the Skills. Now, when I was thinking about doing this video, he was one of the first ones that I was thinking about in terms of, well, what would they do with his stats? And because I wouldn't have immediately put a defeat Pill's ability with the kind of like story he has going on, I'm thinking maybe a minus Pills thing could work with him.
Yeah, because I mean, we've already got, well, obviously, he wasn't there when sort of Hemdall was made, and at the time of, in 2014, but we do have Mandrak, which is sort of like the invert, well, not invert, but if it was just straight up plus pills, like, that's essentially what we've now got with Mandrak, even though it's a bit annoying that it's only max 9, but kind of makes sense. It's still pretty good. But yeah, maybe it would be nice to switch him up so that you get some minus pills, because if you look in the clan, like, you've got plenty of plus pills already. Like, you've got Anton, Bell. Let me look even more. There's Corvus, one of my favorite cards out there. Love him, etc. etc. Like, they've already got like a whole load of plus pills and all that stuff in the clan. But then when it comes to minus pills, what you've got Plunk and
Yomi.
Yomi and Giwa. Giwa. But and so we've got actually kind of a nice mixture of both. Like, I thought it kind of leads one way, but it shows that in the clan, like, they're open to having both plus and minus pills, so it's not too far fetched to think that the card could now have minus pills in there.
What do you think his minimum would be?
Oof. I mean, I would hope that it's not any more. I'd like it to be a minimum of 2, to be honest, or maybe 3. I don't think 4 would be a bit annoying, and anything higher than that's what's the point? But it would be nice if it was 2, but with it being what minus 3 pills, presumably, maybe it would be a bit sort of brutal to have that minimum any lower than 3, because I'm sure that's what the best is right now. Like, when it comes to minus pills, there's I think the best we've got in the game so far is a minimum of 3. No, maximum of I don't know. It goes down to 3.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that. It goes down to 3. Okay,
But no, that'd be pretty neat.
2015, we go back to the Frozen. And that was the turn of, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Nunavik,
It's okay.
who I was very surprised. I mean,
Well,
yeah,
he's just not really that remarkable for cards. He's just kind of there, and
I never
he's
see anyone
very
playing him.
forgettable, in my opinion. There's not really much point of playing him unless, well, the only time I really saw him being played was in a very high level Sad Palace deck, where the guy was using a 1-star Nunavik splash, not splash, but 1-star Nunavik, just so that he could get in some more powerful cards in there, I think. And that was
Yeah.
like 5-2, but no, it's not really a card you see all that often being played, and it makes sense because there are just far better 2-stars out there, and the stop, and plus what power and damage, that's kind of nice, but even then, sort of, with the fact that you're reliant on that SOA, there's not really much point, and you're far better. If you really desperately want that extra power and damage, then to be honest, you're just better off playing Asicub or whatever he's called, where he becomes an 8-2, and then
Yeah.
obviously with that bonus, then it'd be a 10-4. Like, there's just not really much point, in my opinion, of playing Nunavik.
So I think with Nunavik, it might have been a year of we're voting for, looks more than anything. Because I can kind of see why he would have won based on that. But I genuinely think second place was Van Hecten. I really think it should have
I
been
mean,
him.
I don't know. I mean, to be fair, I'm only thinking of his last form, but maybe in his younger years, Van Hecten looked a bit better. Let's have a look. Van Hecten.
I'm just remembering what I did in regard. I don't have the picture anymore, which annoys me. But as I was telling you about this, just Sean East turning up, pulling a Kanye West on Nunavik. Hold up, I'ma let you finish.
But no, he's an interesting card, Van Hecten. Not one which I think I'd ever particularly choose to use. But you could if you wanted.
If you can keep away from SOA, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of
definitely.
his artwork, I do prefer like his first level. Kind of reminds me of Kanji from Persona 4. And
he's just a bit of a weird one. I don't know. I mean, it confuses me that people would vote for Van Hecten. I'm trying to get my mind around that. I don't understand it.
2015 was a funny year.
I kind of just want. Obviously, I know. Obviously, when it came to the Mr. events and all that, I'm voting. It wasn't just girls voting, but sort of seeing that Van Hecten was second place, it kind of just makes me want to go, girls are weird. But I know, well, no, not really. It's both genders would have been voting, and plus more genders. Like, there's not just two genders, there's many, many genders.
Right. You think people voting for Van Hecten's weird, right?
Well, it wouldn't be a serious vote. Like, I would be concerned if someone genuinely found Van Hecten, like, thoroughly appealing.
Right. I'm not going to say who it is because I want to protect their identity. But back in the 2011 competition, someone genuinely voted for Tino.
I mean, I can see Tino more than Van Hecten. And I'm sure if I
really?
look back on Tino, I can sort of see, yeah, that makes sense. But
I mean, yeah, he's got that fluffy hair. Right, I like the fluffy hair.
Let me go look back at Tino.
I'm going to as well, at the risk of being sick. Because screw cannibals, not literally.
Yeah, I won't recommend that, to be honest.
Genuinely, Tino genuinely scared me back in the day.
Wuss.
Well, excuse me for not wanting to be eaten. Oh, it's funny because I couldn't laugh at it. I couldn't laugh about it back then.
Yeah, those are weird people.
God, but I was going to say, we got to talk about the Montana some more because 2016 was the year of Mr. Fairbanks.
Yeah. I mean, did we even really discuss? We never even talked about what Nunavik stats could be. We just ended up rambling about Van Hecten and Tino.
Yeah, but like I said, 2015 was a funny year. I mean, why did people vote for Nunavik?
I mean, I guess he does kind of have almost that slight bad boy look to him. Like, he does look a bit cool when he's got like that nice sort of bluish whitish hair.
Maybe.
Like, it looks like a cool dye job. So, you know.
Guessing maybe instead of a stop, it could be, I don't know, I was going to say the invert of a stop is probably no condition, but that'd just be like giving him an ability and a bonus. With Nunavik, because his original ability is stop, power, and damage +2.
I guess it maybe could be nice to see like a almost sort of buffed version of Aztec Cup, or however the hell you pronounce him, and have Nunavik 7-1 and then +2 power and damage, so then he's 9-3 and then 11-5. Like, that'd be pretty cool, but I don't know, would that be a bit too much?
That would be very OP for a 2-star.
At the same time, I wouldn't. Maybe. Would you want to drop him down to 6 power though, and have him 6-1, so then he's 8-3, and then it would just be nice to see him, be somewhat usable and have like have players have a reason to play him, and make players actually want to play him, like give them that reason. So it's just 6-1 seems incredibly low for a 2-star, but you won't want to give him 6-2 because that would be a bit too much. But again,
Possibly.
7-1 also seems a bit iffy. I don't
God
know.
damn it, Nunavik, stop making this difficult.
I guess maybe would you realistically have to drop him down to 6-1? I don't maybe, but that just seems weak. But that would still, as long as you didn't get hit by SOA, which
Ugh.
would be a dream for Nunavik, then that'd be fine as is. But even if you don't have his ability or whatever, then potentially his bonus could still save him and turn him into a 8-3, which isn't terrible for a 2-star. So maybe you'd. I don't want to say you'd have to put him as a 6-1, but that's kind of where I'm lying. Times like these is where I sort of admire those who make cards and all that and come up with the concepts and stats and all that, because it can be sort of a struggle and a half. Like, it can really get your brain going. But I'm just gonna say it, 6-1 plus 2 pound damage. There you go.
Okay. As I said, you're better at this than I am, so I'd probably say the same as you, but only because I don't know what else he could have.
Yeah, and plus in the game there are 6-1s around. I
True.
mean, we mentioned him earlier, but Anton, like, he's 6-1 plus 3 pills, so it's not like that those stats for cards don't exist. Like, they are there, just not very prevalent because they're not amazing stats. But it makes sense for that cards and the ability and how it would buff him, I guess. Yeah, there we go. That's a wrap for Nunavik.
Yeah, and as I said before, 2016 was then the year of Mr. Fairbanks. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I mean, I could imagine him staying as a support, but I don't want to give him like +1 power because then he's just an Oscar with an extra star.
Yeah,
Then
I
again,
mean,
is Oscar a 6'4"? What? Let me just quickly check his stats. Uh,
yeah, he's a 6-4
yeah.
because
Oh
he
no, he's a
goes up to
5'4" initially.
5-4.
6, 7. Yeah, you can go to a maximum of 9 power if you've got Mono Montana.
I was trying to remember whether it was 9 or 10, but yeah.
So I was thinking maybe if you drop the stats maybe a little bit, you could give him Equalizer maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know if
I don't
you
know.
drop the minimum. I don't know.
I see it more of a case like he got with Afola and Magnolia, where initially what Afola was, is it like, I'm gonna get the stats up because I cannot remember. But of course,
Avola is support damage +1, and Magnolia is what's
growth
Magnolia?
plus 1 damage.
Yeah,
So in my mind, I'm more imagining something like that, where you change the support into a growth. Like, that's sort of what I would do with it. And I'm sure that was what was done with Yingshu and Miss Yingshu, where was it? No, I don't know. But either way, I think you'd want to change the support into a growth.
yeah. I'm thinking just there with a growth minus power. Would it be worth maybe taking a page from the Dominion bonus and making his ability minimum 4?
Oh God, that'd be brutal if you dropped it down to minimum 4.
But then you could change
But
the stats as we could change the power and damage as well.
well, I don't know. Like, you'd want to keep it as 5 damage, but whether you change it to, I mean, 6 power is quite common for Montanans and all that, and it's not too sort of crazy. But whether you change it down to a 6-5 and then it's growth -1 power, like, that's still very powerful in its own respect. But would you want to keep it at a minimum of 5, or would you want to drop that down to 4 to match more the likes of Iris Morana and Mona?
I don't know. I was going to say Fairbanks is a really good card anyway, so
Yeah, and I think, like, you'd still be able to do plenty with it, even if it was a £6 and a minimum of 5. But it'd be even more enticing to drop it down to 4. But that would be pretty damn brutal. Like, you might have to keep it at a minimum of 5 in this instance, even if it's only 6 power. Yeah, that's why I'm feeling maybe 6-5 and then growth -1 power, minimum 5.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say your idea sounds better.
I want to say, oh, it's why I'm here, but that'd be quite mean.
It might be mean, but it's true.
Yeah.
And then that brings us to last year's winner, which was, well, we saw the uppers take victory. Doctor Six.
A very fantastic card. Really great. Yeah, fantastic to use in DT especially, and even like in offense, I've been using him, and it's been really, really helpful.
I mean, at first glance, I'm thinking, instead of confidence, or is it confidence? Hang on, where is he? Oh,
Yeah,
have
his
I gone past?
confidence.
Yeah, instead of confidence, you have revenge.
Yeah, no, that's sort of what I was thinking in my head as well. Like swapping the confidence to revenge.
To be
Yeah.
fair, that would kind of make sense for him as well, given if I can remember his bio off the top of my head, it's basically going on about he hates how some of the pageant winners had kind of gone, weren't exactly like what he would have gone for. And because Doctor Six is all about like the plastic surgery and beautiful people, the revenge kind of seems like it would work for a Mister Six as we called him, because Mister Doctor Six would sound ridiculous.
Hmm. Yeah. Sorry, that just amused me. Mr.
What,
Doctor.
Mister Doctor? Mister Doctor, what are you doing with that surgical knife? Oh God, sorry, it's getting late. I'm getting weird and giddy.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'd go probably, like we were saying, go for the invert again, and instead of it being confidence, keep it revenge, plus 2 power damage, and then maybe drop 1 damage off him so that then he turns into an 8/4, which is pretty decent, but it makes sense. Like if I look at past revenge cards, I'm sure there's something which is sort of on the line to that. I could be wrong, but I think there's something kind of similar. But of course, there is Grounded Mag, or whatever, Graded Mag. But that's not the one I'm thinking of. I'm sure there's another card I'm thinking of.
we have a stop power and damage +2 for Josephine, but I don't think that's what you were looking for.
No. Okay, maybe not. But I think, 8/4 for a 2-star, like, that's pretty damn reasonable. Like, that's pretty powerful. 8/5 would just be a bit too ridiculous for a
For
revenge
a
card,
two-star
so
upper, so yeah.
I think that's pretty fair.
Having, as I was going to say, as we're preparing for Mr Clint City 2018, I'm having way too much fun imagining how Mr Six would be like anticipating who's going to take his title off him. And
Yeah, no, it's a fun thought.
if it ends up being someone who's not particularly attractive, he is going to lose it. I have been talking with people though, and like, oh, who do you think is probably got the best chance of winning this year's? And I can't remember a lot of the eligible people off the top of my head. I was I was gonna say it could be Figaro, but he was like the new blood after the cut-off date. So thanks for that, chemist. But Star Prince's name has come up a few times,
Yeah, it's a pretty nifty card.
and I'm like, well, who else? I can't think off the top of my head, but I have been told that the free there are 3 eligible Frozen, but they reckon none of them's gonna win it, so we won't get a 4th Frozen winner, which I think is ridiculous because you don't. I mean, I don't think there's been a clan yet for Miss Clint City who's had 2 winners,
I
unless
don't
I'm
think
wrong.
there has been.
No,
Not that I can think of, no.
I was going to say
I
Rescue
mean,
haven't had a miss yet, so even if Serafina had won, that would have only been their first winner. Do you have any thoughts as to who you think could win it this year?
my mind's sort of gone blank from trying to remember sort of like all the male cards which have
Yeah,
been released this year, and then also on top of that thinking which guys are somewhat good looking and all that stuff. And I know it wouldn't make sense for him to win because it would be sort of like almost sort of on the same levels of Tiwi. But the only male card which I can think of from this year, which I don't want to say fond of because that would sound really weird, but a card which I have really enjoyed playing, and it'd be nice to see maybe another version of him if a Mr. card were to be made. The one which just comes to mind is Blast, but that's a little boy. It would be very, very, very weird for him to win, even weirder than Tiwi. So maybe not let a boy win.
It says each passing year, so there's every chance that his second form is maybe he's an older teenager. You never know.
Fingers crossed.
I mean, he doesn't.
I mean,
He doesn't
yeah,
look like an obvious child in his first form. He looks like he could be at least a teenager there.
Yeah, he does look more sort of teenager age, but I don't know. That's more based on the fact that I've just liked playing that card. I don't think he's really that attractive or good looking. He's just a card which I like, and that's whatever. But there are definitely far better options. There's far better choices out there, but I just genuinely cannot think of any because there are a lot of cards.
There's a lot of cards, yeah. Right, I have just one last thing to, mention before we end this video. The Mr. Clint City pageant is going to be advertised in the upcoming issue of Clint City News. That is, I believe, going to be released on the 15th, which is, it's Monday today, isn't it?
What, the 15th of what, this month?
Yeah, it's Monday today, isn't it? Yeah. So Tuesday 11th, Wednesday 12th. Yeah, that's going to be this upcoming Saturday. And there's going to be a page in the magazine about Mr. Clint City, and the links are going to be in there, and people are going to be able to vote. I'm really hoping we make this the biggest Mr. Clint City this year, and I'm just hoping to promote it. So
I just sort of want to go full YouTuber mode and be like, can we guys get 1,000 votes for Mr. Clint City? Let's do it. Let's smash it. Smash the like button. Smash those votes. Go get your votes in. Let's do it. Stuff like that. Just go full.
I'm glad you went down that road and not me, because it's like 20 past 10 at night and I don't want to be told off for yelling.
Smash that like button.
Oh, God. You're making me just want to yell, hello, now.
But yeah, vote. That'd be nice.
Yeah, when I'm hoping to get this video released before the magazine is published, and when the magazine is published, I'm going to put a link in the description and all that good stuff. So anyway, just want to thank you once again, Itz, for joining me for this video.
You're very welcome.
I have been Abigail Wyatt, and I shall see you next time. Laters.